So today we're going to unpack three parallels of play learning and how this affects, your life, your career, your relationships, and pretty much everything in between. So if you've been following my journey recently, you'll know that I started to pick up the game of basketball as far as learning the skill set. You've been loving basketball for years, but now I'm like, let me start to play the game, and I love how it's evolved over the years. It's not that basketball was only synonymous with the NBA, but now because of social media, people are creating other platforms, whether it's players themselves or coaches or just enthusiasts and things like that. So I want to be a part of that basketball culture, right? So I've been learning the game. Last night, I work with a lot of kids, play with basketball with kids almost daily when I'm at work. But we had a game last night. It was my usual teammates on our team, and then a coworker, my big guy, on the opposite team. Now, in full transparency, we got swept. We played 4 games. We lost 4, but they were good games. The first one was they were close games. First one wasn't that close, but the last 3 were super close. And we didn't lose because we just couldn't handle like the offense from the other team. We had a couple players on our team that played zero defense, and we didn't get into it, like argue. But I definitely was trying to passionately encourage my teammates to like get on defense because they were cooking us on the other side. But I digress. I say all that to say, last night I saw, before we got into the game, my teammate, Young Ball, that I play with all the time, was like, yo, Mr. So-and-so wanted me on his team. And but he was like, I said, no. He was like, it's going to be me and you. Always me and you, man. So, I felt great. Man, that's a young man that I mentor. And the fact that he likes to play basketball with me lets me know I'm a good teammate, right? Which is a flex to me, right? I'm a good teammate. I pass the ball around, spread the wealth and stuff like that. So, that felt good. But that's sort of a sidebar. We played last night, and because I've been practicing with Phil Handy's 94 feet a game, like the app where you can work on your handling, your dribbling, your shooting, footwork, stuff like that, and looking at YouTube videos. Matter of fact, doing a lot of the things that I mentioned in my last YouTube video. I started putting that together, right? And because of that, the reps I got in, I started to see the improvements in my game last night. I think by game 2 or definitely game 3, I was carrying the team just a bit. Now, usually, I'm passing the ball to the young ball, which is fine with me, which may be one of the reasons why he likes to be on my team. But, I'm passing the rock, feeding him, and, let him do the score. Let him run up and down. He's a lot younger than me. Let him run up and down the floor. I'll get on defense, get putbacks and stuff like that. But last night, I started to take some initiative and sort of subconsciously execute the things I've been learning in training, which was great, right? And come to find out last night, it worked, right? I think I had, maybe 4 or 5 buckets back to back. Mid-range, working on my handle, stopping goals, stopping on the dime, and it worked. And not that I didn't think it would work, but the fact that it worked was sort of encouraging to me to be like, yeah, practice, playful practice, but serious playful practice works. And that this is what inspired me to make this video today. So I just wanted to unpack this concept of this, playful practice a little bit today. Let me read something to you about learning, right? So when we're born, right, children learn by playing, right? So I went on ChatGPT, typed some things in, and I've been doing a lot of research on this, but I wanted to let you know what ChatGPT I was talking about. I'm going to read this to you real quick. Babies don't study. They play to learn. Play is our first language of learning. From the moment we're born, we start learning not through lectures or books, but by playing in the world around us. A baby grabs objects, makes sounds, crawls, stumbles, and mimics adults, all through trial and joyful experimentation. They don't get embarrassed when they fall. They giggle, adjust, and try again. That's pure learning in motion. Adults forget that we're still wired that way. Our brains crave the same safe space to try, fail, and explore without pressure. So, key insight: the play doesn't end after childhood. We just start calling it skills training, networking, or content creation. But when you strip away the pressure, it's still just play. So, I was really digging that sort of summary of how we're wired as human beings, and how, tapping into, like, reconnecting to, like, that childlike mindset to some degree, I think is good for our mental health in our lives and how we live our lives. Is just to have that, curiosity to learn and to play and learn through play, because that is how we learn, right? So, all that being said, let me give you a few of the parallels and the things that I've been learning as I've been practicing my play. Right, the one thing is that play, when you practice, right, play doesn't feel like dreadful work. It feels like rewarding work. The reason I wanted to say that is because, don't be fooled into thinking that play doesn't feel like work, or practice doesn't feel like work sometimes. Sometimes it feels a little, I shouldn't say boring, but when you enjoy the process, it's not boring to you, because you're experimenting, you're learning, right? You get lost in time, but it can still be work. So, dribbling, for example, I'll get it later. Practicing my handle, for example, it could be frustrating, right? When I'm shooting the rock, whether I'm practicing the game and I'm missing layups, missing putbacks, right? Spoken up Jones, missing wide open jump shots. Ball slipped out my hand, I threw a bad pass. It's frustrating, right? And even when I'm having fun and I'm learning, those moments are not fun, but I accept them, right? We can call those little mini failures, but I accept those failures because I know I'm getting better. And the more I practice and the more reps I get in, the less these things will happen. So play, even though you find something you enjoy, you understand that you're learning, and you accept that, but do understand that it will feel like work at points, right? It will feel like work, and that's fine though, because if you can find work that you enjoy, laboring in, then I think you found something special in life in general, right? So work doesn't feel like dreadful work. So play learning doesn't feel like dreadful work, but it definitely is. But it definitely will feel like work as you're learning these skills. But it'll be rewarding work. Like a language, for example, right? It may be fun to learn another language, but as you're learning that language, you're going to come up with times where you're frustrated, where it's like, oh, I forgot that, or I forgot to say it this way, or I forgot that this goes before that. So it will be like work, but it'll be rewarding work, right? So that's my first parallel of play learning. The second thing is more quality reps in practice will translate to a better performance in the big game, right? So the more reps you get in. So when you practice, as frustrated as it may be, as many shots as you may miss, as many times the ball may slip out your hands, if you continue to get reps in, right? This goes back to a point I said in a video yesterday, is train as often as you can, because I saw the benefit, I saw the rewards yesterday, because I'm getting in hours each week. And we only talk about like 3 weeks at this point. I've been playing basketball longer than that, but as far as like training on my own, I've only been doing that for 2 to 3 weeks. And yesterday I saw the fruits of my labor, because I put in so many quality reps for over and over and over and over and over again. I'm not doing a million things either. I'm working on certain specific handling objectives to where it doesn't feel foreign to me, to where my left hand doesn't feel foreign. I'm doing that. And then I'm working on a certain shot selection, all floaters, different, my layup package basically, right? How to hold the ball, right? How I want to shoot the ball, how I feel most comfortable shooting the ball, right? Simple things, fundamentals, to where it doesn't feel foreign to me, so that I can sort of download that information and play without thinking about it, because then that's how you get better, and that's how you learn, to where, you download the lessons, and it's no longer, you don't have to consciously execute, you can subconsciously put these things together and, have a good time, or play, your game to the best of your ability. But I noticed the more quality reps I'm getting in, and the more visualization I'm adding to my practice, the quicker this translates into the big game. The big game could be, your relationship, if you want to be more playful in your relationship, your career, your income, your communication, whatever skill that you're working on. When you put in that practice, put in quality reps, right? Even if it feels boring sometimes, put in those quality reps, and those quality reps will get you to the point you want to get to faster, because now it's because you've immersing yourself, you make these downloads quicker. Going back to language, when you learn a new language, like I heard a bunch of people say, like, it's one thing to learn it in a book or on an app. It's another thing to travel to that country and immerse yourself in the language and the culture, and you learn it so much faster. Even though it could maybe scary or maybe intimidating, or at first it's kind of like, oh, I'm a fish out of water. But the more you immerse yourself in a certain subject, in this kind of learning, the faster you'll grasp the lessons, and you'll be able to execute, the language, or, your game or your photography, whatever, without even thinking about it. It'd be subconscious at that point. And last but not least, confidence comes after fear and anxiety. What I mean by that is, so last night, for example, I have more confidence this morning than I had before I played the game last night. And I didn't go into the game with like real fear and anxiety, but like that is a part of play as well, is this mountain, this metaphorical mountain that you have to climb, right? Using basketball terms, basketball players, as much as they practice and train, there's a level of healthy fear and anxiety when they're in the playoffs and they want to beat the team that's standing in their way of winning a championship. It's not like they're just like, oh, because we get to play, everything's cool, we don't have to worry about anxiety, we'll just go out there and have fun. Yes, they are having fun, but these brothers and sisters are like, they want to win. So there's always going to be this level of anxiety, right? Getting cold feet. How will I perform? How will my practice and my preparation translate to the game and stuff like that? So that'll always be part of the game. That'll always be like the case. And even with, again, your situation, right? Your play, your type of play, whether it's creative play or physical play, there's going to be a level of anxiety and, fear and that you have to face. But the beautiful part about that is that after you execute in the face of fear and in the face of anxiety, after you execute, this is where the confidence comes from. I think it's a beautiful process, and I saw it last night, because when I think I took my first couple shots, missed, right, maybe smoked a layup and stuff like that, and not that my confidence was being diminished, but I was like, now I want to miss those shots. Like, come on now. But then as I continued to shoot, work my game, work some plays subconsciously, and they started to go in, I started to build confidence. I was like, oh, I'm having a good game right now. It's almost like there was like a lag in the realization, because I started making shots. And I think by the third shot, I was like, oh, snap. Like, I'm cooking right now, right? This is a result of the practice. And my young boy teammate, he acknowledged this. He was like, yo, I see the work that you're putting in and how much better you get, man. So that inspired me to continue to go. But I realized that, I guess the takeaway is that there will be some level of fear and anxiety that you have to face. But as you face that, it just, what Brian always say, trust the work that you put in and live with the results. Once you do that, and in the face of fear and anxiety, you continue to shoot or work your game, or go book that photo shoot or travel, whatever the thing is, the confidence comes in after you succeed in the face of that fear and anxiety. And there's no way it can come before that. Like, no matter how much you practice, you have to get in a big game and then take care of things. And that's when the confidence comes and becomes subconscious and important for you. You're a great basketball player, or a great photographer, or a great filmmaker, or podcaster, or you travel the world, or communicator, whatever it is that you do. When it becomes subconscious, it becomes second nature, and then you can sort of like build on that and become like a master of your craft and stuff like that. So that's all I wanted to share, man. Just make sure if there's anything you take away from this video, just make sure you continue to take your play seriously, because I think it's good for your mental health and how you live your life and how others view you, how much you can be an inspiration to others in general. People want to play, man. People want to live a life of freedom, joy, play, being healthy, you know, having healthy relationships, being able to play with the ones closest to you, you know, to have them travel the world and see things. So, you know, no matter how old you are, you still have the I think the it's ingrained in us to want to play and explore. So don't fight that urge. Lean into it. If you like this video and you found any value in this, go ahead, like and subscribe, because I'll be dropping, you know, streams of consciousness on a regular basis, and it'll be around these topics of play. You know, where to play, who to play with, what toys you could use, you know, to play. So it'll be like reviews. You know, we'll play with our foods. We'll do food things. We'll talk about health and physical play. We'll do a lot of things like that. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. If any of this sounds interesting to you, as always, y'all, ABC and ABP, always be creating and always be playing. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.